Good evening, Vancouver. Welcome back to Canucks After Dark. It is Monday, November 11th. The Canucks are coming off of a pretty good win, a pretty bad loss, and at the end of the day, 2 points out of 4 is, pretty fine for a 2-game stretch. As always, joined by my co-host, Canuck Clay. How are we doing this Monday night?
Parker, I'm great. It feels like we were just together because we were just together on Wednesday night. It was a short week for us, only 5 days between shows as opposed to the 9, I guess, that happened the week prior. But yeah, you're right. I think we both predicted we wanted 3 points out of the 4, but we thought it could likely be just 2 out of the 4, and that's exactly what we got. So yeah, between those 2 games and a lot of roster instability, we got a lot to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, quite a bit happened for a 5-day stretch in which the Canucks played 2 games, 2 divisional rivals, 1 road game, 1 home game. Like, it should have been a very not exciting week. But of course we get a lot of intrigue with things like a Brock Boeser injury and the subsequent trading of a winger who you would think might take Brock Boeser's spot. And then a promotion, and then thinking, oh, baby Josh was coming in, but no, he's not ready. There's a lot of things to go over, a lot of weird decisions, but a lot of decisions that, if anything, are going to have some short-term ramifications, if anything. But we'll go through those. We'll preview a couple of games for the week. I think we have 3 to preview, or they play a back-to-back this weekend, don't they?
Yeah, we got 4. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Wow.
Yes, 4 to preview, including the Flames, Islanders, Blackhawks, and Nashville. So it's a pretty big week for the Canucks, but only 1 divisional rival that is floundering, I think, to say the least.
Yes. Welcome. Matthew Tkachuk is in the chat, already throwing down the gauntlet. Yeah. Your team has had a great start. We've had an okay start, and happy you're here. We welcome fans of all franchises in our chat.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, I see it's a Panthers picture, so Panthers fan, I assume. Seems like it would be a little bit late, but all right, let's jump into.
Oh yeah, that's what he was saying. Of course, Barkov and Tkachuk. That's stupid. I got excited about when I saw Matthew Tkachuk, and I know that he plays for the Florida Panthers now. Okay, I'm ready. Perfect. There goes the perfect show.
It was never going to be perfect. You can just tell by my camera. So yeah, 2 games for us to recap, a lot of roster moves for us to discuss as well. Let's dive right into it, folks. Feel free to join in the comments section. We're happy to have you here. Hit the like button. But let's get into it. It started, I guess, we did a show Wednesday. So the week started Thursday. Canucks Kings. This was a pretty solid game for the Canucks. It was another one with an early goal. We've seen a lot of early goals to start this season, it feels like, more so than usual, and not necessarily going one way or the other. Usually it feels like it's going against us, but
yes,
the roster's still okay, or the standings are still okay for that having happened a lot, because this team has shown some good resilience in coming back. But it's less than 2 minutes into the opening frame, and it's Quinton Byfield, and the video will not load for me, which is unfortunate. This was the bad breakout pass that just got picked off at center ice. LA comes back in. Byfield absolutely burns his way through Jake DeBrusk and goes backhand on Kevin Lankinen.
Yeah, this one, you really saw the.
It wasn't
speed.
DeBrusk. Sorry, it was. It was.
Yeah, Sherwood.
And Sherwood.
So, yes, you really saw the speed and power of Byfield, and I get it. Like, Sherwood was starting from a standstill position, and Byfield had some speed after that scramble play on the boards, but a really nice play, power move, the general, keep the puck away from whoever's trying to get it, and he cut across Lankinen. Could Lankinen play that? But I don't know. But like Byfield, that was a really strong play. But you're right about these slow starts. I actually heard, Parker, I think you give the Canucks too much credit. I think we've given up the opening goal in 7 straight games now, which isn't great.
That's a lot in a row. That's not very sustainable. Thing is, 7-2-1 in their last 10.
Yeah. So
it's clearly not killing them, but it's this is a team that excels when they play with the lead, right? That's just the way that they've been for a long period of time. And luckily they did get the lead back thanks to a power play that, wow, this is actually really interesting. I didn't know that the NHL actually designated goals as own goals.
Oh yeah, that's the
If
first
you
time
look
I've
at
seen that.
Connor Garland goal, it says own goal there, which is quite funny. So obviously the issue in this game is that 10:44 into the first period, Tanner Jeannot, and credit to Sportsnet for showing the visual with the stat over Jeannot's head as he skated 90 feet from his own blue line or his own zone without stopping, with eyes on Brock Boeser essentially the whole time. And just shoulder clean to the chin, like blindside, no intention other than to run a guy essentially. Takes Boeser out. I don't think the refs even really saw it. I don't think a lot of players even saw it, because I thought someone would have jumped on him right away. But we didn't really see that happen. However, major penalties are reviewable now, so they call it a headshot, go back and review, and they give Jeannot the 5 in the game, and then he ended up getting a 3-game suspension. Do you think that's the right amount there?
Yeah, Parker, when I saw this, I actually saw it real time because I was watching the game, and you saw Boeser pass the puck, and then just before the puck, the camera panned away to follow the puck, you saw Jeannot come in the frame and hit Boeser, and I screamed. I was like, "Oh, that was really bad." And sure enough, seeing the highlights, it justified it. I think 3 games is about right. Could I have gone with 4 or 5 because it's a Canuck player, and would I be saying the same thing if it was reversed? I really try and look at it that way. 3 games though, that is, in my first thought, that's not enough, especially if you're trying to get this play out of the game. But when you look at precedents and comparables, 3 games didn't surprise me. So that's kind of my way of answering it. It didn't surprise me. I would have loved it to be 4 or 5, but I'm okay with 3.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. When it hit like that, it's like there's clear intent that you're just going at the guy, and it's a clear headshot. You do have to factor in, and I'm sure the NHL sort of did factor in, that this game sort of counts as one because he missed 50 minutes of it.
Right.
But if you had asked me how many games is he going to get, I think I would have said 3 or 4, and it did fall in line with that. Of course, it's one of those things where it's like that's just like so blatant and unacceptable that it should be more. But with the way the NHL suspends based on those things, it wasn't a surprising number. So a 5-minute power play. This should have been the Canucks power play is not very good right now. I think everyone knows that. It's not even like statistically terrible, but watching it is painful. And they wasted the first 2 minutes of this power play. Maybe 3 minutes of this power play. Like, they looked terrible. They couldn't get the zone. We saw the first unit go. We saw the second unit go. Nothing was working. They do finally get set up about 3.5 minutes into this power play, off of an offside face-off. Shouldn't be going offside very often on the power play, but the Canucks found a way. Garland just makes a good play to play it back to the point. This is such a nice passing play. From the point, Hughes to Miller, slap pass back door to Garland. This is an absurd pass all the way through, and Garland can't even handle it, and just sort of gets a piece of it. It goes to the crease, and then Darcy Kemper with the funniest goal. Just the fact that he perfectly swings around and shoots it in. It's lovely. But yeah, it's one of those ones that a bit of a lucky break. For the Canucks, because Garland could have just missed that, and it could have just slid into the goalie's pads.
Miller's pass to Garland was a one-timer, you were saying, right? A one-time slap pass? That's pretty impressive. To receive it. I'm pretty sure he received it from Hughes.
One-time slap pass.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. Garland's in the right place, though. I think Garland and Pettersson, too, they've both done a really good job of getting to the front of the net, and sometimes you got to be lucky, and they were certainly lucky with Kemper putting it in his own net. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, no, it was good. Good job by, I think Pettersson played well in this power play too. He was one of the few. I was sad that he wasn't able to get on it, but Garland gets the goal. It sucks that there's no assist here. Hughes doesn't get an assist, and Miller doesn't get an assist because it's classified as an own goal, even though it was obviously set up by those 2 passes. So 1-1 after 1, the rest of that penalty gets killed off. Jake DeBrusk gets that goalie interference penalty that I thought was pretty garbage, where he clearly gets shoved in, and Darcy Kemper looks like he took a bullet when he gets a light shove. And then, of course, someone's like digging at DeBrusque and trying to pull him off and really just getting his legs stuck in his own goalie. Like I was surprised that there was only 2 there, but Canucks did a good job killing that off. So after the first period, 1-1, no Boeser for the Canucks, no Jeannot for LA, not a good trade for Vancouver, but that's the way that the rest of this game went.
Yeah, that goaltending interference, it was so weird. Like, I don't know how he got in there. I don't know how he got stuck, but yeah. But you're playing on the road. You're ending off a road trip. I'm fine getting out of that period tied. It's fine. It's good. It's a good thing.
Yep. Second period, Canucks get the first goal of the second. This is a really nice play by DeBrusque here. This shift, the funny thing is this NHL clip on NHL.com doesn't go back far enough because Quinn Hughes does so much absurd stuff on this shift. And then it gets to the point where he is one-on-one with a winger at the point, and he just dances around him, finds an open passing lane by skating a little bit down the wing, finds DeBrusque. DeBrusque waits at the goalie, goes around him, tucks it in. Quinn Hughes deserved more than 1 assist for this goal. He was unbelievable here. A really nice play by DeBrusque. 3 goals in 3 games at this point, after barely missing a chance previously earlier on that shift. Canucks get that lead off that. So it's good to see DeBrusque starting to get on the board a little bit.
Yeah, it was. And yeah, I love what you said. He made about 18 head fakes and head bobs. And that was his first undressing of Akil Thomas. That didn't sound right, but you know what I mean? Like that was Thomas had to check him a couple times, and that would be maddening. Like I can't skate well. And I could just picture any winger. Even I think DeBrusque joked about it, or I heard a Canucks winger joking about trying to check Quinn Hughes and being isolated, like man on man. It feels like you're all alone on an island. But beautiful. And DeBrusque, do you remember Parker, that play that Brock Boeser scored when the Canucks made that epic comeback against Nashville? Remember Miller took the shot, Boeser corralled it, went back to the goal line, then back. It was very similar to that. And like it had that kind of vibes, different side of the net. Regardless, great skill play by DeBrusque to have the composure to put it in for sure.
Absolutely. And then later on, there's the penalties start to get weird, right? So Gavrikov and Sherwood are going after it the rest of the second period, right? Over and over. And eventually Sherwood gets a slash in the back of the leg from Gavrikov skating away, and the ref takes them both. And I only saw it on the far side of the screen. The fact that they took both, I was mad. I was like, what are we doing? Like, it's a slash to the back of the leg. They showed the clip. I think Sherwood hammed it up a little bit. So they did call embellishment on it. But also it's like, well, you missed the embellishment on the goaltender in the first period, but nonetheless. So they go 4-on-4 for a period of time.
Yep.
And then Hronek gets 2 penalties, trip and a hook later on in the period. I didn't think the officiating was great in this game, really. This was one of those games that actually felt like it stood out to me. Where normally I'm like, it's usually bad both ways, whatever. This one felt a little off.
Okay, that's fair. I wouldn't fight you on that. I didn't see it as bad, but maybe because the Canucks won, I was in a good mood. How's that?
Fair enough. Third period, Canucks get set up in the offensive zone. This one is just so silly. So Miller does some good work down low. The puck sort of gets free. It's a bad clearing attempt. Right onto the stick of Quinn Hughes. And then this is Quinn Hughes. Like I watched this and I was like, oh, he's just Steph Curry. Like he gets the puck at the top of the key or the top of the 3-point line, essentially, shimmies like 4 times and then makes a weird little head fake, gets some separation, just throws a moon ball and it goes in. Like it was it just felt immediately like Steph Curry in that the basketball finals in the Olympics, where he was just like taking shots from everywhere and they were going in. This was the fact that he has this dangerous shot now as well, but just the shimmying and getting that separation. Like, what are you supposed to do? This guy's just standing there with his skates going like this, and he doesn't know what to do about it.
That's a funny visual. Yeah, but you're right. It was. Yeah, aren't you happy he's on our team?
It's ridiculous. I don't understand how he keeps getting better, right?
Yes.
So like 2 years ago, when there was the whole like Makar Hughes thing, and all the Canucks fans were like, oh, Hughes is better. All the Colorado fans like Makar's better. I was very much in the camp of Hughes is sweet, Makar is better right now. Yeah. Last year, Quinn Hughes had the better year, but I was still like, I think Makar is still the better player. Like he's more dangerous offensively. He's bigger. He's really good. But then Hughes got better again. Like, oh, now he has a better shot. Now he's more dangerous offensively. Now he's getting even better with his movement. And it feels like he's really gotten that gap back up. And his defensive game has been better than Makar's this year, which has been a big difference maker. So, look, obviously both fantastic, but I don't understand how Hughes keeps getting better. I don't know how he's not at a ceiling already, but it's so fun to watch.
Well said. And I tweeted the exact same sentiment after the game. I said, Hughes and Makar, understandably, drafted 1 year apart, and the two best players, two best defensemen, they're understandably going to be compared to each other for their entire careers. We can't get away from it. And I would be fine if we had Makar. But I am very happy that we have Hughes. I'll put it that way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're both unreal. Just so fun to watch. Gavrikov does get one back to make it 3-2 with about 6 minutes to go. Canucks sort of are in a bit of shutdown mode. And this is just a long point shot that gets through everybody. Lankinen, there's only like 8 bodies in front of him, so he probably couldn't see very well. I guess really you just got to clear that one guy that's alone in the crease. Like nobody's on him. Myers is really just adding screen there. It gets through. So that's a tough one. Gets it to a 1-goal game. And then you get the Quinn Hughes, Brandt Clark saga. Brandt Clark, I noticed all game was trying to get into people's kitchens a little bit. Like he was definitely trying to start something. And he ended up going 1-for-1 on Quinn Hughes, which is a great trade for LA, right? You definitely want, if you're Brandt Clark, you can get Quinn Hughes off the ice for 2 minutes at 4-on-4 with like 5 minutes to play. That's a pretty good trade. But they were going at each other. And then Quinn Hughes just sort of like grabbed his head and jumped into the boards.
It was like a standing bulldog, a wrestling move.
Yeah, it looked like a wrestling move for sure.
Uncharacteristic. You love to see that from your captain. You love to see that to an certain extent for your skilled player. You don't want them like trying to run guys like Sherwood. And then they continued their shenanigans in the penalty box. Did you see the lip reads of those things?
I didn't see the lip read. I watched it, but I didn't see any like breakdowns of it after the fact.
Yeah, like and they were actually not comical breakdowns. They're actual legit breakdowns, and people it was basically like coming after you. Clark said, then Hughes said something about you can't come after me or my family, and then Clark says something like you just watch, and I don't know. I probably just butchered it, but it was just typical talk. It was fun. It was funny. Brandt Clark's been good for them actually, and we remember him when he got drafted. Good, big right shot guy. I'm sure he's trying to make a name for himself too, and he's not like he's going to be a bum who's going to be out of the league next year. He's going to be a good player for a long time.
No, for sure, sure.
Yeah.
And then JT Miller with the empty net drill after they were practicing the empty netters from long range. Just in his own zone, pass misses the winger. JT Miller just from his own face-off circle fires it all the way down just inside the post. That's the ball game, 4-2.
Yeah, the irony of this, did you see, Parker, that they were the day before they were practicing empty net goals at practice, coming around the net and then firing it, and if you miss, you had to do a lap? It was pretty funny.
It's good timing, and it makes sense for a team that is playing with the lead quite often, right? Going into the third, like they did it all last year, go into the third with a lead and hold it. Being able to score an empty netter from your own zone is very valuable. You can just lock the game up because sometimes you can't get it out that easily. And that would have been a situation where Miller probably could have tried to chip it around the D-man, but 1-on-2, the odds of you retrieving the puck after doing that is going to be low. So it's a good play. At that point, I think this team, Tocchet has enough faith in them defensively that they are willing to take the icing on that. Hey, if you miss, we'll just kill the time, right? But if you hit it, that's great. The game's over. So that's it's a fair risk at that point.
Yeah, and just before I get into this, because I want to get your opinion on something. Thank you, Coach Rob, for gifting the 5 memberships. That is awesome. They go to Alfred, Carol, Hope Reigns, JGP, and some Asian symbols that I don't know how to pronounce. So thank you, Coach Rob, for that. We appreciate your support for sure.
Thank you.
So are you okay? Okay, so Miller scores, which is fine, and a really good play. And then Myers, after that, you might remember, twice went for the empty net and twice missed, and twice it was icy calls. Is that okay because it's a 2-goal game? Like maybe he's not doing that if it's a 1-goal game, or do you think that's just a bad play overall? Like what do you think, or did you not think anything of it?
In a 2-goal game, it's totally fine.
Yeah, I agree with
there's
that.
no real downside. Like you could just eat it in the corner and take more time off. But for these guys also want to score. right? I think it's one of those things that I think if a coaching staff, like, it's not going to be this way with Tocchet, obviously, because he's well respected. But I think if a coaching staff was like, "Hey, we're up 2 with 30 seconds left. You eat the clock. You don't try to score." Like, you got to let the guys want to score, right? Especially guys like Myers who are going to get a couple a year, maybe, right? Like, they definitely want to take that shot. So I don't have any issue with that.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So a good solid road win. And I didn't know this. It's so surprising given how weak sometimes the California teams are. That's the first time in history the Canucks have swept the 3-game Cali trip. Now, I don't know how many seasons back they've done this trip.
15 attempts.
Really? Okay, so odds-wise, I don't know if that makes sense, but you just think intuitively how bad San Jose and Anaheim have been recently. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they've probably only done a couple of those trips in the last, one a year, maybe.
Right.
I did that trip 5 years ago, and
what did you see?
I think they went like 1-1-1 or something.
Okay.
So
but
also the Canucks weren't very good either at that time.
Good point. Yes. Good point. Okay, so then we're all looking forward to a big matchup, Hockey Night in Canada against the team that vanquished us from the playoffs in the Edmonton Oilers.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very excited for this one.
Yeah, easy game to get up for, right?
Yeah, you'd think so. It was an exciting one. Tickets were expensive for anyone who did go, and it was one that, I was excited to watch. We had some people over, and it was going to be a fun night having it on the TV. First period, genuinely, I thought went okay. I didn't watch the whole game intently because I had people over, but like the first period felt pretty even. That Edmonton had a power play and capitalized on it, right? Like they scored 4 seconds after the penalty ended.
Yes.
But other than that, it felt pretty even. Did you get a similar vibe on that?
Yeah, I think, I didn't notice this, but Rick Tocchet said that he didn't like the way his team kept taking the puck back, ragging the puck back to their end when he wanted them to play fast against the Oilers. But no, it was fine. Aside from that one power play goal, it was fine. 1-0 game. And it was good. It felt good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you.
And then, the Oilers get 2 back-to-back in the second period, a minute 13 apart. And we're all sitting there like, oh, what happened? Right? Like just 2 quick goals, Perry and Arvidsson. But then you do get Petey scoring 18 seconds later, like a really good answer 18 seconds later. This is a nice one, right? Just a shot from the point, Petey with a good tip. DeBrusk, just a long range shot. Pettersson tips that down. That's a big one, right? And Pettersson was the best player on the team for this game.
He was,
which is good to see, right? Quinn Hughes, not a good game. Guess what? He'll be fine, right? We've seen what he's been, right? We just talked about that LA game. I'm not concerned from that. Seeing Pettersson have a really good game, even in that losing effort, I think is really important and something to build off. And then Hronek scored just 2 minutes later, and suddenly, like, it felt like he might be back in this one.
Yes, great points about Petey. A legit tip. This time we actually saw him tip it, so we knew it was his goal. And the fact that came 18 seconds after Arvidsson's goal, it felt like, oh, good thing that we got the next one. Otherwise, that would have been brutal. Then Hronek scores, beautiful passing play, nice patience, really good play by Bluger actually. Find Hronek in the slot, and then you're right. And then they get a power play, and then we think, okay, for sure, tie game for sure, easy money. No, that power play stunk.
It's been a momentum killer for this team. Like totally the fact that, like, especially a game like that, you're down 3-0, but you score those 2 goals in 2 minutes, and it's like, oh, we've seen this before, right? Yeah. We remember the Nashville series last year. This team can just score a few in bunches. This is what they used to do in 2011, right? When they would just like be down a couple goals and then decide, oh, we'll just score 3 quick ones and go home. Like, that's what some elite teams can do. And it sort of had this feeling of like, hey, we're still against a team that struggles defensively, right? Yeah. Darnell Nurse remains not very good for his contract. Evan Bouchard has struggled defensively quite a bit this year. Of course, he's got, he's great offensively, but he's struggling in his own zone. And Stuart Skinner has great nights and has bad nights. So it's a team that you look at and they can obviously score in bunches, but this Canucks team can too. And the Oilers team is a bit more defensively porous. Right.
Yep.
Typically, right. Obviously, this game not a great example of it. But it's funny. I said before this game, like, I'm really excited for this game, But I remember last time they lost Brock Boeser right before a game against the Oilers, and that felt like a bit of a bad omen.
Yeah, that you know, I never made that connection. Like obviously I track when Besser is not healthy because he's such a big part of our team. But yeah, a good point. No Besser, no Demko. Again, at home.
Yeah, I know, it's tough. So yeah, it felt like this team, the Canucks could get back in it. You know, the second period sort of ends in a bit of a whimper, right? Not much going on for the last half of the period. And then even the third period, like I felt like the period started fine. It felt okay. And then Edmonton scores 3 goals in less than 2 minutes and the game's just over. It's 6-2. And then they score again and it's 7-2. And then the people we had over, the couch got loud for that Puce Suter goal with a minute to go. We were fired up for that one. We thought, hey, comeback is still on with 54 seconds to go.
Yeah, and we don't have time, and nor I don't think we want to relitigate all 4 goals. But McDavid was in on 2 of them. Connor Brown was in on 2 of them. A couple of them were outnumbered, like just power play or just outnumbering the Canucks down low and 3-on-2s and jam in plays from the side. And a couple of them were basically Noah Julesen's fault. A couple of them, what else can you say? He's either a slow covering guy trying to make a big hit, or he's actually literally sticking a stick in the way and deflecting the puck past his own goaltender. It was not a great night for Noah Juleson.
No. The defense is a bit concerning still. Brandstrom's been a good pickup. He's not going to be perfect every night. But he has been a very solid piece. Nice goal, by the way, that power play goal late. Nice little passing play. Off the tip, puck comes down. Pettersson just slides it open to Suter, who's got a wide open net, and beats Skinner. Skinner's visibly frustrated after this goal. He's like, what are we doing, boys? Because his save percentage just went from being like a 900 to worse than that, 50 for the game. So I thought that was kind of funny. But
that is funny. And one thing before we get off this game, I was sitting there at the game, Parker, and I'm like, this is weird. I haven't seen Archie Baines in a while. I haven't seen him. Wait a second. Is he playing? And I actually did not look at the lineup before when the Canucks tweeted it out. And sure enough, they went with 11-7. They dressed Juleson. They did not dress Baines. And it completely mucked up the flow of the D pairings. It completely mucked up the flow of the 4-4 lines. Tocchet said it was for penalty killing reasons, but does that mean he wanted Juleson as a penalty killer? Does that mean he's expecting all his D-men to take penalties? I don't know what that means. Talk to me. What's the strategy for going 11-7?
I don't know, but you're not going to see it again. I promise you that. Yes. He even said it today. He's like, I don't like doing that. And I think the answer will be that we just won't see that anymore.
Okay, that's easy.
Maybe the thought was, looking at this Edmonton team and seeing how dangerous their power play has been historically. Maybe they thought something. Maybe they thought they had something. They had a little edge off something that Noah Juleson brought to their penalty kill that worked really well to counter something that Edmonton's power play had, right? Might have been like a video coach call. Edmonton had, or the Canucks had 1 power play in this game, or sorry, 1 penalty kill in this game in the first 40 minutes. Right. And they got scored on at 4 seconds after it. And then of course they had the 2 penalties in the third, and then one of those got scored on. So clearly it did not work. And even if it did, there was only 3 opportunities for it to actually matter. You're not gonna see that again.
I hear you. I'm with that. Something we hope to see more of. Thank you, Swervin Irvin. He actually joins our Canucks After Dark team as a supporter. We appreciate you. Thank you for always being here too. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Anything else you want to say about that? Because we gotta talk about all these roster machinations.
Yeah. At the end of the day, look, 2 pretty bad games in a 10-day span. All right. That Devils lost 6-0. The Oilers lost 7-3. Yeah. However, 3 wins in between those 2 games.
Good.
Right. It sucks to lose like that. It makes the game, it feels terrible. They still count the same. And
they do.
We are on we're not in the moral victories phase of Canucks fandom anymore, right? We're in the real victories phase. Really what counts is getting as high in the Pacific Division as you can before the end of the year. And as they stand right now, they're in a pretty good position. They are 4 points back of LA with 4 games in hand. They're 3 points back of Vegas with 2 games in hand. They're 2 points back of Calgary with 3 games in hand. Points percentage wise, I don't have the math in front of me, but I gotta imagine they're 1 or 2 right now. They're right in that mix with LA and Vegas.
Yeah, they are, and they're on a 107-point pace. 107, same as last year, basically 109. Yeah, same.
I'd take that. 107 points
too.
sounds good. Oh, and we don't have Dakota Joshua yet. Oh, and we're getting Thatcher Demko back. Look, and again, it doesn't feel like they've played a super high level of opponent to start the season, right? They beat the Panthers, they lost to the Hurricanes, they lost to the Lightning. The Devils, of course, but the Devils again, like the Devils beat them pretty bad, but I don't see the Devils like a super high strength of schedule team. They just got beat by the Devils. But like looking ahead, Calgary, New York Islanders, Chicago, Nashville are your next 4 games. 4 very, very winnable games, right? Rangers, decent opponent that is, doing pretty well to start the season. And the Senators. Senators aren't that great, right?
Nope.
And the Bruins. The Bruins are playing 500 hockey right now. We know the Penguins are bad. Then they have the Sabres. Then they have Detroit. Then they have Minnesota. Then they have Columbus. The next 12 games on the calendar, for how, frankly, easy the Canucks schedule has felt so far looking at the opponents, it doesn't seem like it gets that much harder in the next 4 weeks.
No, you're right. You're exactly right. And even I agree with everything you just said. And even if you don't want to project too far ahead, even this homestand, Parker, we talked about this. This 6-game homestand, the Edmonton game, despite their record, was going to be tricky. The Rangers game will be tricky, but the middle 4, you should be able to win those 4 games.
Yeah, and hey, any given night, hockey's a quite random sport, right? There's only 5 or 6 goals a game on average, so it only takes 1 to flip to be a win to a loss. But they should absolutely win 3 of these next 4.
I agree with you.
I agree
with you.
That's not a question on this homestand. In these next 5 games, they should take 7 points. Yeah, at minimum. Now, who knows, right? They could go 5-0. They could go 2-3. You never know, right? That's why you play the games. But it's a very winnable calendar coming up. Obviously, you still don't have Demko. We'll talk about the goaltending. There's no reason for this team to slow down or lose any momentum. They should continue at this pace that they're at. And again, just try to grow that buffer a good bit, right? If you could be at a 100-point pace 21 games into the season at the quarter mark, essentially, that makes it a lot easier to end there. But right now, this team's sitting in a negative goal differential, which is a little concerning, but also, hey, the blowouts count just as much as the 1-goal wins.
Yes. And crazy. Away from home, Parker, we are 6-1. At home, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Our record is 1, 2, and 3 at home. That's so bad.
It is. It is really bad.
One outright win out of 6 games.
But then what? 6-0 on the road?
Yeah, 6-1. Yeah.
6-1. I meant. Yeah, that's pretty good, right? Like it's very interesting because that should settle, right? Both of those should regress. This team should play worse on the road eventually and play better at home eventually. Yeah. I don't know what it is that's leading to that. The sample size isn't huge, right? There can be some randomness in that. I don't know if it's not taking enough advantage of last change or something along those lines. That should even out, I would think.
I'd hope so. But yeah, you're supposed to be able to dominate teams at home. So that's something to look forward to once it happens. I hope.
Oh yeah, it's tough. I wanted to go to that game last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday, the Devils game. I wanted to go to the Devils game the previous Wednesday. Glad I didn't. I had people over, but I was still, if I didn't have people over, I would have been looking at tickets for the Saturday game. Glad I didn't. And now even like tomorrow, it's like, I kind of want to go to that. I kind of want to go to the Canucks game tomorrow, but I'm a little worried because they're at home. They haven't been very good. And I don't want to see another loss to the Flames. I've already done that once this year.
Yes. So the moral story is, if you think about going to a game and then you decide not to go, they're going to lose. Is that the thought? Then you better go to the game then.
Oh no. Okay. Well,
I'll don't verbalize. Yeah.
I'll open up TickPick after the game. We'll see. Or after the show. We'll see.
Sounds good. Now we go to our people, I guess. Not our people. The Canucks people. We'll go to our people at the end of the show. But we got a lot of roster moves to talk about.
Yeah. So right after Brock Boeser is out, and we don't know what the injury is. I think we're assuming concussion. based on sort of the murky timelines and the hit. Really, the options are concussion or like broken jaw when you get hit there, right?
Yeah.
And I think if it was a broken jaw, it would be like, hey, he's going to be a few weeks, but we haven't heard that yet. So we don't really know. I don't know which one's preferable. Concussion's usually less time, but also longer lasting impacts. Either way. So right after that, the Canucks go out and trade Daniel Sprong for nothing. This signing that we were pretty excited about. And we did temper our excitement when this trade happened with, hey, it is a literal zero risk signing. You can send him down to the minors and bury that cap hit entirely. Clearly, you can just trade the contract away and get the money out entirely too. And that's the route that they've gone. Daniel Sprong, first goal of the season for the Canucks, looked decent at times. Didn't seem like super poor defensively, which is sort of what we were sold on. Not like he was great defensively, but unnoticeable defensively, I would say. But also problematically, pretty unnoticeable offensively as well.
Yes. The fact, Parker, you said this right at the top of the show. The fact that they traded him the day after Boeser got injured, when he would be a natural fit that was already on the roster to at least try and make up for some of what Boeser does, that just told you that we're talking at no time from quite frankly. He didn't trust him in the top six. And it's a kind of a weird place for a goal scorer to be on the fourth line. So I guess they decided to cut bait. You're right, for the ominous future considerations, which could be money, it could be a pick, it could be a prospect, it could be another throwaway player. It basically says we don't know what it is going to be right now, but it's not going to be a lot.
Could be a nice dinner for the management group, right? Like you never know. It's an interesting one too, right? Because if you're thinking, where Sprong is going to fit, right? Oh, Boeser's hurt. Okay, we can slot him in with Miller. For the time being.
Yeah.
Clearly that's not the route that they wanted to go. And they instead opt for Jonathan Lekkerimaki, which we'll get to. The other thing this points to is that Josh was really close.
Yes.
And the thing is, once Joshua was back in the lineup, you've got quite a few guys who have, top six, role to them. And Daniel Sprong is just sort of the bottom of that group, right? Because you have Lekkerimäki as an option. You have Connor Garland, you have Niels Höglander, you have DeBrusk, Suter's getting some time up there. And then with Joshua back, even Joshua might be preferable in a top six role over Daniel Sprong. Keep in mind, Sprong had 3 points in 9 games, right? Not the, if you're not going to produce offensively and that's really all you were brought in for, that's a bit tough. So Joshua being back in the lineup, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen tomorrow, but it really smooths out a lot of the lineup, even without Boeser, right? The bottom six really comes together. You start getting a lot more clarity on your top six, and even the ability to move a guy like Suter up onto Miller's line. The way Suter's been playing, I'm actually totally fine with it. The ability to move a guy up like that and still have your bottom six feel intact is pretty valuable. And Daniel Sprong just makes that bottom six. Like, you can't have Sprong and Höglander in your bottom six, I think.
Right.
I just don't think that really works.
Right. And at bottom six, and if you had to pick one of the two in the bottom six, you want them on your third line. But no, because of how good Heinen, Blueger, and Sure would have been, they were saddled on the fourth line, and that's just a weird fourth line. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, okay. Do you want to say anything more about Sprong? Because I want to go to Lekkerimäki before we go to Joshua, only because Lekkerimäki kind of fits in. Anything else about Sprong for you?
No, not really. I wish we had high hopes, right? It was really like, hey, he's going to come in and score 45, 50 points for us, or he's going to be playing in the AHL. and they ended up same thing. They sent him off to Seattle, which is going to be a non-playoff team. So it's not really like, oh, we might run into this guy in the playoffs. They're not concerned about that. So,
and
it's an experiment that didn't work.
Yeah, he was here for a good time, not a Sprong time.
Well done.
He has a lot of those. Okay, so then Lekkerimäki, he starts the season. By the way, as you know, I was at the Meet the Team thing, and Rick Tocchet in 45 minutes called him Lettermäki 4 times. It was the most funniest thing, Parker. Lettermäki.
That's great. Little Stan Smeal in him, hey? Podsloviev or whatever he called him.
That's right. I forgot about that. Anyway, so he starts off the season hurt. Then he does awesome. He's like ripping it up in the HL -8. So a lot of people, what they've said to me, Parker, is how it's almost like Talkett's not two-faced, but a hypocrite. He's saying that he wants Lekkerimäki to fill in Boeser spots, shoot the puck, just do what you're good at, shoot. Yet he's got to know that he's not the best defensively. So how does Lekkerimäki can get that opportunity when his disadvantage might be the exact same reason, the same thing that why Sprong is not here anymore. So, or maybe you give him a pass because he's a rookie and he's not a veteran. Like what's the difference to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder, for Sprong, I wonder if it's, just like a fit thing, like even a locker room fit, or just did he have that full commitment to the system? Because he might be talking to Lekkerimäki, who's 20 years old, and Lekkerimäki be like, "Yeah, I'm like, let's go. I'm excited, and I want to, to learn this system." Another thing, it also is, hey, you have a couple of games here without Brock Boeser.
Yeah.
You have a guy who sort of projects a little bit Boeser-y, right? Great shot. That's really the projection, right? Really good shot, just like Brock Boeser at that age. And maybe the thought is, hey, this is a really good opportunity for us to give him a couple of games, and then we'll check back in a few months, right? Because maybe we're going to have another injury in the top 6 later on, or maybe we're going to need an influx of scoring farther down the line. Maybe it's as simple as, hey, you've been tearing it up in the AHL, have a couple NHL games as a reward, right? Who knows? Who knows what the reasoning is exactly? I think if there's a guy that you want to get saddled with in your first NHL game, though, it's probably JT Miller.
Yep. Yeah, he's being set up to succeed for sure, and that's kind of what I was going to get at. It's really interesting. Before the Boeser injury, it was Boeser, Miller, and DeBrusk, and then it was Petey with Garland and Suter, right? But when they bring Lekkerimäki in, and even the Saturday game with no Boeser, they decided to take Suter away from Miller. They actually tried Miller, Suter, and Garland. So they basically swapped Miller and Petey, and they put Petey back with DeBrusk, and they're going to keep it that way. So I'm happy with that. I think that Petey and DeBrusk didn't get enough time to develop chemistry at the start of the year. And we know that Suter knows how to play with Miller, and I guess they want Miller on Lekkerimäki's side as opposed to Petey, as you just mentioned. So a really fascinating way that they're going to set up the top 6, and at least you keep Petey with Garland, which is a good thing too.
Yeah. Petey and DeBrusk, it's interesting, right? Because they definitely haven't been given enough time to work together, and their time together hasn't been very productive. However, we've seen a little bit more from Pettersson the last couple of games. Yeah. Again, it's got to be tough just getting different line mates night in, night out. Garland is so good, so put him with whoever, and it might work out fine. We got 7 years of DeBrusk and Pettersson being on the same team, right?
That's true. That's a good point.
They got to figure it out. Let him figure it out now. DeBrusk is on a little bit of a heater, right? Obviously, bad game against Edmonton. Everyone had a bad game for the most part. And Pettersson, on a 1-game streak, let's say right now, right? Played pretty good on Saturday. So if you can get them both, feeling a little bit more confident playing together, and if you can get that to work, that's great. Because we know Pius Suter works with Miller and Boeser, right? Obviously, Boeser's out. Slot Lekkerimäki in, tell him to be Brock Boeser. I'm sure that'll work just fine. You're obviously not touching the third line, like you said. And then the fourth line you can fill in as needed, because they're going to get 9-10 minutes a night.
Right.
The fact that Pius Suter has this flexibility, though, to play anywhere in this lineup is super valuable. For Lekkerimäki, like, 2 really good guys to learn from if you're playing with Miller and Suter in your first game. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. I thought that's a really good point about the whole reward thing. And it even if he only stays for 2 or 3 games, because either hopefully Boeser comes back or he hopefully not because he messes up. But you're right. It rewards. It shows the guys in the HL. You work hard. You produce well. Not just about stats, but you play well. You're a good teammate. You work hard. You show up at practice. You too might get a brief stint, and that's all these guys want, right? A chance to play in the on the big club. So great point. I'm excited. I think if he can play kind of with the release of expectation and burden, and just as Toggett says, go out and shoot the puck because that's what you're good at. I don't know. It's kind of exciting. I was there at Abbotsford when Lekkerimäki scored his first AHL goal. So that was kind of cool. So maybe I won't be there tomorrow, but if you're there, maybe you'll see his first NHL goal. I don't know if that's too much to ask in his first game.
How many minutes do you think he plays tomorrow? Because obviously Miller's going to play like 18, 19, maybe more, depending on how the game's going.
Yeah. And usually what, 12 to 14 of that, or 14, 15, that's even strength, right? Usually?
Probably something like that. I don't know. I don't know what Miller's actual average time on ice is. I'm just completely guessing.
Yeah.
But if we're saying he plays 20, let's say, what is his time on ice at? 168 minutes in 13 games. Okay. So maybe like 16 or so.
Yeah.
So if he's playing 16 minutes a night,
of even strength. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say 15 minutes a night of even strength. Does Lekkerimäki, is he there the whole time? Are they gonna, throw Höglander up there for a shift, throw Garland up there for are they gonna get things going in a blender? Are they gonna give Lekkerimäki, because I assume Lekkerimäki's, is he filling in on power play too?
Yeah, he's on PB too.
Yeah, I should say.
Yeah.
So he's gonna get is he gonna play 19 minutes tomorrow? That seems unlikely.
I think I peg him as 13 to 15. I think he plays the first two periods full shift. But in the third period, if the Canucks are down and they're trying to score, actually, you should keep him on there. But if you're protecting a lead, then they're going to shrink to three lines, and then you might see him and Baines and Ratu on the bench or whatever. So I predict somewhere between 13 and 15. I know that's a big gap. That's 2 minutes of gap, but I'm giving it to myself.
Yeah. In a perfect world, he plays really well and the team's up like 5-2 going to the third, and they say, great, you can keep playing.
Yes.
But yeah, you got to imagine that bench will get shortened later on. But yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
I did sort of forget about that when I was thinking about going to the game tomorrow or not. So now it's like, oh, maybe I can go see a debut.
Yeah.
But
well, I know a guy who has tickets. I'll talk to you when the show's over.
Sounds good.
Now, one more forward, and then we'll get to the people. Dakota Joshua. So I don't know about you. I probably jumped the gun a little bit when I started seeing him practice in his so his regular contact jersey. It's not a contact jersey, but you know what I mean. He's not in a non-contact jersey. Yeah. I said, oh man, that means he's ready. And then he didn't play on the California road trip, and then he didn't even play against Edmonton. And now it sounds like he's not, even though he was in a regular lineup spot practice, he's not going to play tomorrow. It sounds like it might be Thursday. So you're going to bring in, I don't know, Baines or Amon, probably Baines if you have Ratu. So you bring in Baines tomorrow, and then maybe Joshua makes his debut on Thursday night against the Islanders.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge addition. I don't know what to expect from him game one. It's going to be interesting because I assume they're going to put him on the fourth line. Based on it being his first game back and the way Heinen, Bluger, and Sherwood are playing so well together. Man, there's going to be so much physicality with Sherwood on 3 and Joshua on 4. Obviously, we hope he comes out just flying, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot of excitement. But no camp, right? Just a couple weeks of practice. But man, the jump and Baines has been fine, and a great story, and it's been good to see him score a couple, even if one of them didn't count. That's a big upgrade going to Dakota Joshua. That's the fact that, hey, we're at 108 point pace without him. That's a pretty big add, and not to mention not having, your number one goalie. I'm very excited for Joshua to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. And we talk about Pius Suter being a Swiss Army knife, right? Anywhere from the first to the fourth line. And Rick Toggett has called him that. Joshua, in a different kind of way, can do the same. We know he can play in the bottom six, and we knew he did great on the third line, but I could see him playing with Garland and Petey, for instance, on a second line. I'm not sure if I see him all the way up with Miller on the first line, but he wouldn't look out of place. Maybe not long-term, but at least he can play in the second, third line, no problems. So yeah, he just makes our team that much stronger, and it's a feel-good story too, right? So not only is he's a good player on his own merit, but that whole hopefully bump you get a little bit from a guy battling through what he did, so liked in the room, so liked by coaching staffs, loved by the fans. Hopefully it's great that he makes his debut at home. I think it'll be awesome.
It is an interesting to think about because with how well Joshua and Garland played together last year, right? I mean, when Boeser's back, is DeBrusk, Miller, Boeser, Joshua, Pettersson, Garland that crazy as a top six, right?
No,
Like
not at all.
obviously, it's too, I'd say Garland's a top six player right now, the way he's been playing. Joshua really projects as a middle six, right? Can fill in on the second line, but probably should be on your third. But that chemistry with Garland might make an interesting trio. But I think that's something that we'll see at some point fairly soon, once Boeser's back. But obviously,
Actually, when you expand that out, that makes a lot of sense, Parker. If you go Miller, Boeser, DeBrusk, PD, Garland, Joshua, keep your third line of Heinen, Sherwood, Blueger. Then now you have Suter. You can use him as your fourth line center, or you're a winger. You could go Suter, Ratu, and Hoglander, right? Or Suter, Hoglander, and insert 12th forward here. Yeah, so a lot of options for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like they're saying like Jack is saying in the chat, we just go get Crosby at that point too.
Easy.
Yeah, why not put him with Suter and Boeser, or Miller and Boeser?
Yeah, that'd be a good
Probably
line.
not going to happen.
Wow.
Should we touch on the defense really quick, or maybe we should talk about about Shelovs? He got sent down to. Did he play yesterday?
He did, and he won. Yep.
Nice. How did he do? 2 goals, 920 save percentage. Excellent. He needs a confidence boost, right? He's got like a 881 or no, a 808 so far this year. Nice. He needs a confidence boost. It's a really nice thing about having Abbotsford be the farm team. Send him down for a game, call him right back up.
Yes.
That way they can get him some playing time. I'm surprised they didn't do it earlier, frankly.
Yes.
With the amount that Lankinen's playing, just send Shelovs down for all the home games essentially, and bring him back up to be a backup. But Lankinen starting tomorrow, we assume. Again,
yeah, that would make sense to me. And then you give Shelovs one of the two on the weekend, right? The Saturday or Blackhawks, Sunday or Predators. Part of me has a sneaky feeling they go Shelovs tomorrow night and that's why they played him on Saturday. But in Abbotsford, yesterday. But I could also see them not playing him. They play him yesterday because it's like because they know that he's not going to play until the weekend. So I actually make arguments for both and. But maybe if you want to give Lankinen a true break, you go with Shelovs tomorrow. But I just realized Calgary is like 3 games over 500, right? They're not bad.
Yeah, they started really hot. They won their first 4 or 5 or something.
Right.
And the thing is that first game, Shelovs was a big reason the Canucks lost the opening game of the season. Right.
Oh, good point.
That
against Calgary.
To Calgary. Yes. So just from that perspective, I would say maybe go Lankinen tomorrow, Shelovs Thursday. Then he gets the Islanders instead. But obviously Lankinen got lit up a bit on Saturday, and although they had 2 days of rest still, right? It's not that crazy. I think that's what I would do, just because again, Shelovs got beat pretty bad by Calgary last time. So maybe you just say, hey, you don't have to play that team. Go play the Islanders, a team that we only see twice a year. Maybe that works a little better.
And then they split the weekend, and then Lankinen gets the Rangers. So you're saying 3 of the next 5, Lankinen, 2 of them Shelovs. Is that correct?
Yep, and then they don't play. They play next or Tuesday the 19th, and they don't play till Saturday the 23rd.
Oh, weird!
Because of American Thanksgiving. I guess they take a couple days there, and then they have a back-to-back the 26th, 27th.
Okay.
And then I guess she'll also get one of those if Demko's not back by then.
Right.
But lots of time in there for Shelovs to get an AHL game or two, I would think. I don't know what their schedule looks like around that time, but. Canucks are on like you said, a 6-game homestand, right? Yeah. They can definitely feed Shelovs a game at the end of it, potentially, if the team is in Abbotsford, but I could pull up the schedule. I just have not.
Sure. And we see you, chat. Thank you for all the questions. I realize if we're going to touch on the defense and preview the next 4 games, we might not get to you guys tonight. So,
well, there's not much to touch on the defense side. I'm Desharnais is concerning is all I really want to say. But I'm hoping the Rick Tocchet scheme can fix that.
Sure.
What's your panic level on the defense?
Not as bad, to be honest with you. I think I was more panicked when they try to shoehorn Juleson into it, not because it's Juleson, but just 7D, as we've talked about, doesn't work. Hughes Rowan not worried. Susie Myers, they're so inconsistent. Like, do this, Parker. Every time that the opponent scores, look who's on the ice. It's usually, I think I've told you this before, it's usually Susie and Myers. I don't know what their plus minus is, but they seem to be on the ice a lot. And I get it. They're the number one penalty killing unit. So I get that they get scored on a bit, and that doesn't count as a plus minus. So I think Branson's been good. Branson's been really good as a nice little find.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. To the people? Or
Sure.
do you want to, I guess there's 4 games, but we
very
sort
quick.
of talked about them all at home. Flames, Islanders, Blackhawks, Predators. I'm saying 3-1.
I'm agreeing with you. 3-1. 6 out of 8.
Cool. All right, folks. You got any questions? We got about 5 minutes left. Throw them in here. Yep. Sorry we took so long to get to you. We're very good at filling an hour nowadays.
Yes, Edmund, you kind of answer this. You think it's going to be Lankinen?
Well, yeah. Would you consider starting Sheila versus the Flames for redemption? I'm very much on the let Sheila's build confidence train. And that AHL game, I think, probably helped. However, I wonder what the mental is going into that. Like, hey, you've played like 2 or 3 games this year. Hey, go play one of the teams that beat you. I don't know if that's redemption or if that's shell shock, right? Like, I don't know what he's gonna get from that.
Great point. If you're Lekkerimäki, where's your headspace? Play your game, dog, or don't get benched, bro. I'm going with the first one. You gotta kind of just
20.
relax and
You're 20 years old in your first NHL game. There's no reason to play scared. You're playing your first NHL game on the top line, right? Like that is a free pass to go play your game. If you do something dumb, guess what? Your minutes might get slashed. But you're not gonna. It's not like your career's not over, right? So go try to make an impact, right? Pretend that you're, even if you just gotta convince yourself, like, hey, you're a part of this team. You're just there to help your team win. You go play your game.
Jack, I made a video about this today, and I probably have to do a mea culpa on my stream later. Is they said Brock is day to day, but that doesn't mean they fully diagnosed him and he's day to day. It's day to day in the diagnosis because they don't know what's wrong with them yet. So it actually could be week to week, but as of now, it's day to day that they're getting reports. Like they don't know
it's
yet.
More of a we're monitoring it day by day, not
exactly.
He is day to day.
Exactly.
It wasn't clear. Obviously, like Bachelor had the same tweet where he said I got confused on that too. It was worded poorly. Yeah. You shouldn't use the words day to day when you're talking about something because that's like an official designation, even if that's not what you meant. So it was a bit confusing, but
talk us the master of that. Irvin says, with Joshua in, who's your ideal 4C between Suter, Oman and Ratu?
Oh, it's Suter by a long shot. Because the thing is, I think he should be playing higher than 4C. But hey, if everyone's in the lineup and you need to put Suter somewhere, hey, your 4C, that's a great place to have him. Because then he can fill in anywhere. He can play PK. You can throw him on the power play a little bit if you need to. Like he can do whatever. Yeah,
great point.
Good Swiss Army knife.
Really quick, we don't spend too much thought on the Canucks being ranked as the most attractive team in the league. Neil's Oman leading the ranking, by the way.
Yeah, well, we waived Oman, right? So that's not true anymore. And when you number 1.
Right, and you did a story on him, right?
Yeah.
Was that part of Boeser Project?
Yeah.
Did you find him strikingly good looking when you were interviewing him?
He wasn't bad looking. I wouldn't say I was. It didn't cross my mind. I will say.
Fair enough.
The AI is had some preferences.
Thoughts on Hoglander? I think he's been okay. The way that Talkin has used him kind of speaks to his consistency or inconsistency. You might say chicken and egg. Well, how can he be consistent when he's getting bounced all over the lineup? But obviously they don't see him as a top 6 right now, but he could go up there. Yeah.
And the thing is that the team's committed to him, right? They signed him for 3 more years, $3 million apiece. Yep. And I think that's a contract that's going to age well. Yeah. As of right now, he's not playing fantastically. I don't think he's had a ton of great opportunity, right? The best opportunity we've seen him is with Pettersson, and Pettersson has been playing very well. So I think he's in a spot where they're trying to just turn him into an all-around player. I love watching him on the wall. Him and Garland are very similar in that respect.
Yes.
Höglander takes a few more penalties on the wall. He gets a little bit more feisty, but no, I'm not concerned yet about Niels Höglander because they've put him in a role where he's not going to produce a ton.
Right. Matt Benning on waivers. Would you consider him right shot guy?
I know nothing about Matt Benning recently.
He hasn't played a lot in the last 2 seasons.
The fact that he got waived from the Maple Leafs defense doesn't seem remarkably promising. He's 30. He's played 7 games at a -5 in San Jose. And then I guess, did he get picked up on waivers by Toronto and then Toronto put him right back on waivers or something?
No, he got traded in the Liljegren trade, I thought.
Oh, right. I forgot about
I think.
that.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what his contract is. It is 1.25 for this year and next. That extra year makes it tough, I think. Because that's a guy that you'd be committed to, and that seems unlikely to me.
Right. Ricky, I've heard of Blue Sky, but I've never tried it. I know a lot of people are getting disenamored with X, but I'm very loath to try new social because I'm so lazy to learn it. Have you used Blue Sky?
I have an account, but I've never used it. I can't be bothered to go on 2 platforms.
Yeah.
And I don't use Twitter much at all anyways anymore. So it's just
That's fair.
If it becomes more popular in the sports world, then I will switch. I'm not the biggest Twitter fan anymore, but I'm just where the people are.
Yeah, that's fair. Last one, Fabro. Would you have liked him? I know Columbus was higher than us on the waiver wire. There's a lot of love for him because he's a local guy, but I think his contract's not that advantageous, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, $2.5 million this year, expiring at the end of this year. If I'm not mistaken, 2024-25, which is this year. I wouldn't have hated it, but it really does lock up that cap flexibility that they've been going for, right?
Yeah.
I think they would rather accumulate that cap and pick up a better player at the deadline. It's obviously going to cost you more, but there's a higher ceiling, and this team isn't trying to get as much depth as possible to try to win the cup. So
sure,
I see why. I don't know if they did put a claim on him, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did not.
Nope, that's fair. I'm with you, and I was fine with them not. I didn't think he would slip to us anyways. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 11:03. That's pretty good.
It's 11:03. Folks, thank you all very much for joining us today. If you missed any part of the show, you can rewind back to the beginning here on YouTube. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform to listen to in the car or whatever you do. We got 4 games this week. We'll be back next Monday, 10 p.m., potentially, to recap those. We haven't discussed it. I don't know what our availability is, but usually Mondays, 10 p.m. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Clay, any parting words?
No, it's a lot of, I guess, flux around the Canucks roster, but gives us lots to talk about. And overall, the team's still chugging along at a plus 100-point plus pace. So I'm okay. I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform this week. All 4 winnable games as home, as we talked about. So let's just see what happens and stay positive, guys. We're doing just fine. We're doing just fine.
Yeah, 108-point pace. Yeah. Hopefully Lekkerimäki looks good. But like I said, we'll be back here next Monday. Make sure you're subscribed, all that good stuff. Otherwise, have a fantastic week. Good night.